better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host Sam Dark, and welcome to this space where automotive comes together to learn, to grow, to share, to execute. Thanks for choosing to be here on this Friday, December 5th. And on this day, CDG Circles are live. Many of you saw the car dealerships guys post to LinkedIn last night talking about the number, the quality, the quantity. And the first question from CDG himself came out today. How was November? Groups are interacting on that question. Some of the feedback is fascinating, interesting, and certainly a help to all of us in the industry. Before we talk fixed ops, today is Fixed Ops Friday. Let's cover today's industry news. First up today, Carvana has purchased its fourth Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram franchise of the year from an unnamed seller in Metro Atlanta. That's continuing a buying streak that started in Arizona, then moved to Dallas and Southern California. For context, the Southeast is one of the hottest dealership M&A regions in the country, with strong population growth, business-friendly policy, and a huge base of consumers who rely on personal vehicles. But between the lines, Stellantis has been quietly offloading underperforming stores for a while now, and Carvana likely keeps stepping in because each CDJR rooftop comes with other value behind the scenes, like closed lane auction access, CPO programs, wholesale parts, and more. And remember, Atlanta was the first market Carvana launched its online car buying back in 2013. More recently, the company has expanded its wholesale infrastructure there, so dropping a CDJR franchise into that footprint seems to fit the broader strategy. What's next? Well, the auto industry will wait to see. Next up today, Subaru has landed the top spot on Consumer Reports' latest auto brand ranking for reliability, satisfaction, and safety. For the second year in a row, Subaru beat out BMW, number 2, which claimed the top luxury ranking. Huge props to Subaru. Ziegler, we have 4 Subaru franchises, very proud of them, in Indiana, Wisconsin, and it is a growing, winning brand. The rest of the top 10 is a mix of some familiar names and big improvements. Porsche, Honda, Toyota, Lexus, Lincoln, Hyundai, Acura, and Tesla, which jumped 8 spots thanks to Model Y and Model 3 improvements that finally moved past earlier quality issues. Lincoln made the biggest jump, up 17 positions, as its older lineup has become more predictable and reliable over time. On the flip side, Audi slid 10 spots to number 16 after the Q4 e-tron showed up early reliability problems, and the consistently strong A4 left the lineup. Chrysler struggled again with all 3 minivan models scoring below average reliability. Dodge, GMC, and Land Rover and Jeep rounded out the bottom. What's the big picture here? Well, as consumers stretch ownership longer, reliability is carrying more weight at the point of sale. Dealers with brands that consistently perform well have an easier close, while stores carrying lower scoring nameplates might lean harder on service plans and warranty coverage from the very first conversation. And that lengthening ownership cycle plays into today's topic as part of Fixed Ops Friday, so I'm sure we'll have a fascinating conversation as part of that. Next up today, the latest Cox Automotive Dealer Sentiment Report shows a clear shift. Dealers, especially independents, say the market feels slower. Shoppers feel more hesitant, and grosses are getting harder to hold. Franchise stores are still more optimistic, but even they're feeling softer demand than they did over the summer. Traffic is one of the biggest issues dealers flagged. Stores reported fewer people walking in, fewer serious online shoppers, and more buyers browsing than buying. And profitability expectations are cooling too. Dealers say buyers are more price sensitive, trades are tougher, and used car activity is losing steam. All signals that customers are watching their budgets a little more closely. Confidence in the broader economy has softened, as has the outlook for EV demand, which continues to reset after the tax credit changes. What's the one bright spot? Well, new car inventory appears to be stabilizing. Many franchise dealers say they're stocking at levels they can actually work with, but the used market remains tight and very competitive. Earlier this week in the Oval Office, President Trump announced that his administration will unwind Biden-era CAFE rules, calling them, quote, ridiculously burdensome, meaning instead of ramping fuel economy toward roughly 50 miles per gallon by 2031, the new plan would land closer to 34.5 miles per gallon, essentially freezing standards near the old 22 baseline. The move gives automakers short-term breathing room. Lower targets mean fewer compliance costs and more flexibility to keep building profitable trucks and SUVs, but it also risks slowing momentum on more efficient and electric models already in the pipeline. And reactions across the industry are quickly split. Ford's Jim Farley and Stellantis' Antonio Filoso were in the room supporting the rollback, while GM issued formal praise shortly after. Analysts, meanwhile, say consumers shouldn't expect immediate price relief. Product cycles take years to adjust, and future administrations could reverse course again. What's the bottom line here? For dealers, looser standards could extend the runway for selling bigger, less efficient vehicles, but it also means the regulatory landscape will likely stay very choppy. And finally, up today, a new survey from Top Down US has revealed that even seasoned certified auto techs are hitting real limits with late model diagnostics. Get this, 73% of respondents say their biggest hurdle is lack of access to OEM data, not lack of skill. And modern vehicle networks aren't helping either. 2/3 of techs say communication systems are the hardest to diagnose, and hybrid EVs add another layer of complexity. High voltage systems and advanced drive assistance are also causing trouble spots too. To keep up, techs say they need better tools, more in-depth OEM level diagnostics, wiring diagrams, guided repairs, and faster scan speeds, all of which we'll talk about today as we wrap today's industry news. Because guess what? Today's Fixed Ops Friday. Yuli, welcome.
What's up?
Dude,
Happy to be
today's...
here.
Hey, I'm pumped to have you back. Today's Fixed Ops Friday. And Yuli, as you know, today we're diving deep into retention. We'll talk technician staffing pipelines, mobile service, AI in the service lane, customer transparency. There's a ton of topics on tap for today. So everybody, welcome to Fixed Ops Friday. And not to get too far ahead into the week, but do you know who my list is of people that would be great to have on this show? There's 3 people. And I'm going to add one. So Trump just came out with the reduced CAFE standards. We want President Trump on this show. By the way, this morning he posted out there that he just approved mini cars. I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know how the president of the United States approves a mini car, but he's saying he's approved mini car. I want Trump on here. It would be awesome to have him. Nick Saban, would love to talk to Nick Saban as he expands his empire in the Midwest, particularly with luxury brands like Mercedes-Benz. Guess who the third is? I want Jay Leno on this show. He has been such an automotive aficionado, and I feel like on Fixed Ops Friday, it's great to put that out in the world.
That's a good call.
And this Monday, just as a teaser, I'll be broadcasting live. You'll obviously, we'll both be on the show, but I'll be live in New York City from Chase Bank's brand new facility. They're a preferred lender at Ziegler Auto Group. So I'm out there for a dealer summit they've got going on. And there's a small chance Jay Leno might be in that room. So that's awesome. There's probably no way he'll agree to come on the show, but this is the one place in all of automotive we'd love to hear from him. So to our loyal listening audience, if you have a connection to Jay Leno, tell him we'll be nearby. And we would love to have him on the show. I don't know if I dare ask Monday or not, but
definitely
either Monday or a future show.
What do they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
and I'm taking that shot. I'm taking that shot. So, and a reminder, listening audience, post your comments to the social media streams. We're streaming across all social media. We've got some great comments already. Yoga Car says, make a DDL live from Jay's garage. I would love that. That would be so much fun. Eager K says, key cars would be great in the U.S. if they meet EPA standards for North American market. So mini cars. You know, I think about Europe and all the super small cars they have there. I spent some time in Russia, Ukraine, and whatnot, and I couldn't fit in those mini cars. So I don't know what Trump is thinking. That's why we need him on the show to tell us what he's thinking. I don't want a car
I,
too small.
I live
so.
by the water, and they have them now because they're historic nameplates. They have all these little
Okay.
mini trucks. They use them around like the marinas and stuff. These
Okay.
mini pickup trucks that they just load up. These old Mitsus and Toyotas. They're cool. I mean, I see a market for it. Not everyone, but it makes sense. Bring it in.
But, you know, in a world where you see like one person driving this enormous Suburban or Jeep Grand, like we love big cars. Like there is an American fascination and commitment to big cars. And
well, we've had the room for them. So
yeah. Well, and so Yoga Car says, Sam, do you fit in the Yugo? And so I would answer, Nyet, конечно, Nyet. I do not. I do not fit in a Yugo. And I've actually been in some of those little, very small little Russian cars, and I don't fit in those either. Well, I guess you can fit in anything, but whether you want to spend time in it is another thing.
Right.
So, all right, enough of that. It's Fixed Ops Friday. Let's get into Fixed Ops. First up today, Richard Lupo, Fixed Ops Director at Appletree Honda Acura. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's good to be here, and thanks for having me.
We're pumped to have you. Thanks for being here to contribute to content today on this Fixed Ops Friday. All right, first up, how's biz? And as part of that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, business is great. We came off a good, not a stellar November, but a really good, solid performance, and we're off and running in December. So it's generally very, very good. Business is great. So
awesome.
My name is Rich Lupo. I'm the Fixed Ops Director for Appletree Automotive. We have a Honda and an Acura store in Western North Carolina, in the vicinity of Asheville, and we also have a third rooftop that is a used car superstore, and I take care of those rooftops.
So you're in a super competitive marketplace, and you recently, thinking about closing 25 strong and starting 26 strong, identified your need to level up your mobile service strategy. Tell us about your strategy there, how you did that, and what you're working on.
So we've had several partners, and doing prep work in 25 to get ready for 26. We have a partnership with Spiffy, Troy Blackwell and a gang there doing the upfitting and the software and logistics for mobile service. We also started a partnership with Blink AI, who overhauled our website and our web scheduling with some AI technology. And then we also have some OEM tools that are provided to us, and one including a company called Urban Science.
Okay.
That has a piece of their technology called Service View. And so as I was putting the mobile service plan together, we started to, I used all of these tools together. And so we put Spiffy and Blink and Urban Science all together, got them all together and started talking. And what we're working on is automating the scheduling and targeting of our mobile service, make it intelligent about who we're offering it to, when we're offering it to them, and how we're offering the services it through logistics software that Spiffy does, the AI scheduling that Blink does, and the geographic information that Urban Science has. Mash all three of those together, leverage them, and you get really smart and really targeted about your mobile service.
So it's interesting. I think in today's world, Richard, that's the future, getting companies to come together to help us solve problems rather than us buying pre-box solutions. Brian Benstock shared his strategy a couple weeks ago or last week at used car acquisition in the service lane. How has that collaboration gone, getting those companies to work together and really lean into serving you and helping you build this tool and solution?
Well, we've chose great partners, and I can't tell you that they were just excited to work with each other, to look at the possibilities as they were to work with us, and it's been fantastic. I can't tell you that without. Let me say that they have had a great start. We've got a great start, and the technology and the leveraging of their technologies together is going to make it even better as we go into 2026. They've worked together and worked with us. It's been fantastic.
So for another dealer group that's considering doing similar to what you're doing in the mobile service world, so this is a new strategy, but you've got mobile service currently in operation, right, in your stores?
Correct.
what are three practical steps that a dealer could take to get mobile service off the ground and get it to scale and profitable as quickly as they possibly could?
Just really have to commit to it. I mean, that's if your fixed ops people are not committed to it, if your organization is not committed to it, if they don't think it's a great idea, then you don't then everything downstream of there is just not going to work. So the
Okay.
biggest thing is committing to it. That's the first thing. And then maintaining, pushing forward, and constantly being a part of monitoring the KPIs, finding solutions to fill those gaps and keep the vans profitable,
So
working and profitable.
So it's interesting. You've got Honda and Acura. You don't have Ford. Some of the OEMs, Ford and others, give money to help supplement mobile service. I don't think Honda or Acura does.
That's correct.
What opportunity did you see in mobile service? What's the market need that convinced you to invest without any outside, I guess, monetary assistance? You're bootstrapping this on your own.
Yeah, we are. We're going it alone. As far as for having OEM support, but that's okay. So life cycles are way up. I mean, we've got the average car is over 70,000 miles in our store right now.
Yeah.
And so when customers are keeping the cars longer, there's this historical drop off after the warranty goes out, and you don't see that customer ever at all, except for warranties or, recalls, things like that. And so when you extend that life to where that customer is not coming in and buying a car every 3 or 4 years, now you're extending out 4, 5, 6, 7 years. There's a huge chance for brand defection at that point. And
Yeah.
so creating a condition where we can go meet that customer that is maybe geographically isolated, very far from the store, 20, 30 miles from our store, and close that loop in the life cycle and continue to service the dealer, continue to service that car, will drive brand loyalty and repurchase from that dealer. And so that's really the biggest opportunity. Of course, we're going to make money at it, and we're going to sell much more cars. We're going to retain those customers. Retention is going to be up, and that's really where we are.
Yeah.
It's a life cycle completion exercise for us in retaining the customers.
So you're
Rich,
putting a lot of focus on retention right now, which is a similar theme, Yuli. We hear that a lot from Tully, from the Nilo Auto Group, and a lot of other fixed ops directors. As you're focused on that retention and you're doing it using these remote or mobile service, how has the way you've engaged your service advisors and maybe your BDC changed? Are you repurposing them somehow to think differently about retention and keeping the customers?
We've done a bunch of work to set this stage. We changed our marketing partners. We're with Affinitive, and the graphing out of how effective that has been communicating to our customers has been fantastic. Blink is going through our data, sending out proactive messages, with the AI. So it's taken a lot of load off of the BDC doing calls because of the different ways that we've learned to communicate with our customers that they actually prefer. So it has freed up our BDC to take care of more complex incoming calls too. So it definitely has changed a lot for us in the way that we communicate and the way that we go to market and bring bring awareness to the customers of what we're doing.
So I want Yuli to come in because he's got a question. But as we do that, I just want to have you implementing these different AI solutions and technologies and like increasing the way you connect and communicate with customers. Have you decreased the size of your BDC, or have you decreased the number of service advisors, or have you just repurposed them? Because one theory Yuli and I have is that AI and some of this technology is just going to increase expectation from customers, which doesn't necessarily decrease our headcount in all cases. It just levels up how we develop it or how we deliver and connect with our customers.
It has not reduced headcount. We didn't go into it expecting a reduction in headcount. And enhancing our customers' experience when they interact with us is the main goal for the service department. There are some other goals that the front end of the store has with it, but really if you can get a very simple, oil change appointment scheduled without talking to a human, then that
Yeah.
frees up our BDC, because we do have an in-house BDC, to talk to that customer and spend the time with that customer that has that more complex issue that needs that human touch.
Yeah.
So there's not the pressure of the next call, the next call, the next call, because we're scheduling, 700 plus, 800 plus online, web appointments on a monthly basis. So that's 800 calls that are not coming in for
Yeah.
scheduling oil change appointments.
Yep. You
Rich, I have a question for you. I just want to take a step back. As Sam mentioned, you're dealing with OEMs that are not providing an immediate monetary incentive, obviously, aside from the obvious that you're going to capture from the customer themselves. For a general manager or service director or service manager that's looking to implement this, you said step one is to be intentional. Walk us through someone who is like clueless about this. How do you have to set this up as a separate entity under, your fixed op rooftop? How are you looking at hiring? How are you looking at, the hierarchy and the structure? How are you attacking this if you had no starting point whatsoever?
Well, using the very first step was to see if it was viable. Okay. And so we looked at, we used some of the tools, the urban science tool, and looked at how many units in operation, how many lapsed, how many were active, how many bought here and didn't service, all those kinds of things like that. And amazing amount of numbers of cars that are, were purchased here or and not servicing, or were transient to the market and never purchased, never serviced here. So we identified this huge number of vehicles that are native to Honda and Acura, to the brands, and from there we said, okay, what does it take to reach those customers? Mobile was the solution that we sought and are pursuing. Then you costed how many vans, how costed out, and Spiffy provided us some financial calculation tools to help us with that, and found them very accurate for forecasting. And so we defined the opportunity, then business plan for it. And there's a lot of help, and obviously if anybody needs any guidance on that, they can always reach out to me, because it's been a 1.5 year process to get to here.
So, Richard, a couple really good comments online. I want to bring these in and get your perspective. So, Lauren Klein, she's a longtime listener, love it, says this. Let's see if you agree. You can't have an AI call a customer over a declined service. True or false?
So in North Carolina, that is correct.
Okay.
But
wait, why is that correct?
Well, the way that you it'd be like a spam call. So you cannot have outgoing. Now, you can contact a customer through AI for a federally mandated repair that costs no money. So a recall.
A recall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That actually
So
that's been set, I think, by the Supreme Court. You may have to trust me. Check me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
So if it's not costing them any money, if you're not soliciting business from them, and it's a safety, recall update to the car, you can be proactive and reach out to them there.
So even if they're your customer and the vehicle's in the service and you're going back and reviewing declined service, if you use AI to do that in some states, that could be considered spam and is not permissible?
For declined services, an actual phone call, I don't know how that's applicable to our state law. We don't do that, but we do send out text messages. So there's some technology behind how we do it, but we do reach out to the customer via text.
That's fascinating. Brando says, liking the truth bombs here. So very cool, bringing in some industry perspectives. So I want to bring you to something you've said. I think you may have said in the green room or the intake. You made a pretty bold statement. You've said dealer loyalty beats brand loyalty for future sustainability. So as you're thinking about building these tech stacks and bringing customers back in, why do so many stores get the dealer loyalty versus brand loyalty wrong? And how can a GM shift their organization towards dealer first loyalty, your perspective?
Well, I can tell you that Apple Tree are the people that sign my paycheck. And
Yeah.
being associated with Honda and Acura are fantastic brands, historically
Some
great
of the best
brands.
brands. Yeah.
But the family that owns Apple Tree are the ones that sign my paycheck. So we've got to do what we got to do to be relevant as a local business, and take care of this business in order to make sure it stays viable and relevant going into the future. So,
Yeah.
making sure that we are part of the community, that we're doing the right things, taking care of our customers, making them friends and repeat customers, doing those things. That is what keeps you relevant and sustainable.
Yeah. All right. As we approach kind of the end of our time together, if you were sitting down with a dealer principal, right, and you work across a group, what 3 levers would you say will drive the most fixed ops gross between now and into 2026? If I'm looking to supercharge fixed ops, what are the biggest 3 levers?
Effective communication, customers, process in your shop and your drive, and take care of the people that are on the front line taking care of your customers.
Yeah. So do you guys use video MPIs? Do you do video MPIs as part of your technology stack?
We do.
What do you use for that?
We use Service Snap, which is a Reynolds & Reynolds product, and we use Service Flex.
Okay.
So we have a great, very long relationship with Reynolds, and we use a ton of their products. For integration purposes, they integrate with each other, and so we use Service Snap and Service Flex with Reynolds for those 2 technologies.
So I want to see if you're willing to get in on this with us. Last show, we had a dealer principal on, and he talked to us about, look, we're doing a contest within our group for best video. Like video communication is a way to connect with customers, right? And so we're going to do a contest in January. We're working on all the background on it, where we have salespeople, service writers, service managers communicating with customers via video. And we're going to do a big nationwide contest. We'll have the best of the best here on the show. So that advisor, that technician, whatever. And it's interesting. Video seems to us, when you talk about leveling up on communicating with customers, it's one of the toughest things to consistently get employees to do. And yet it's one of the highest return people activities we can do.
Mm-hmm. It is. One of the success stories of our video is that we inadvertently, we had a technician that was doing a extensive overhaul of an engine.
Yeah.
And the video was being sent directly to the customer.
Yeah.
He thought he was sending the videos to the advisor, but he kept taking all of these videos of, here's the next step, here's the next step. And
it was too much.
Well, the customer came in and absolutely loved, the videos, and it showed the power of what it was to communicate with our customers. But we do the video MPIs, but we also take a lot of pictures too. It's much easier for people to flip through their phones, especially real quick instead of watching videos sometimes. So for the very quick and common items like air filters, we do pictures and then supplement video as needed.
Well, Richard Lupo, Fixed Operations Director at Apple Tree, Honda, and Acura, thanks for sharing your perspectives on all things fixed ops, including mobile service, your tech stack, and what you're doing to better communicate with customers going into 2026. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. And thank you, guys. It's been an awesome experience. Hope to talk to you soon again.
Thank you. Thanks. I don't know. The video competition sounds like fun. I don't know if I want to see an entire engine overhaul or not, but to his point, the customer was excited. What you got to make sure of is people don't say something wrong. We had a Hyundai.
Oh my God.
we had a Hyundai corporate trainer in one of our Hyundai stores yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a great process." And we talked meta glasses and how you can put meta glasses on and do the video MPI using the meta glasses. But to Richard's point, like you've got to train on that, right? And the service manager I was sitting with, he's like, I don't understand the tech. I don't understand how it works. It's not working very well. Service managers everywhere, best practice, learn it, understand it, embrace it. So you can do it just as well as your service techs and writers can do it, and you'll have success. Let's talk cars.com real quick as we're transitioning you, and then we'll come back. This episode's brought to you by cars.com because we're super behind. The producers are getting a little excited with us. Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com, the #1 most recognized marketplace brand, helping your dealership show up and stand out to the most valuable car shopping audience. Click the QR code there. Go to the show notes. We appreciate Cars.com for sponsoring today's content, including that fascinating conversation on remote service and communicating better with your technicians, communicating with customers. So thanks, Cars.com. Eager Superfan says, happy birthday to Hyundai today. It's their 80th birthday. So props to Hyundai. Again, I sat with a Hyundai trainer yesterday. He didn't say that. And then Lauren Klein says, older techs are just stubborn. The newer techs are now being onboarded doing video MPIs. Lauren, I agree, but I think younger, older, everybody is a little reticent to go on and create video unless it's us, and then we do this 3 times a week. But
you also got to make sure that the radios are off when they're recording the video. Some techs are just blasting music.
Yeah. And then 2, you got to make sure your shop's clean. Can't have posters up, can't have a lot of other stuff up, which should be the standard anyway today. All right, let's transition. Next up, Alex Griffis, CEO of Overfuel, Jamie Kent, Chief Strategy Officer of Overfuel. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks for being here. All right, first question up we'll ask is, how's biz? And as part of that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start with Alex. Tell us what your biz is, too.
Sure. So I'm Alex Griffis, CEO of Overfuel. We're a lightning-fast, mobile-first website platform that really focuses on speed, great user experience, and passing core web vitals. For those unfamiliar, we got a lot of insight and data that we could share with folks to unpack that a little bit, but excited to be here. Longtime listener, first-time caller.
Awesome.
And business is great. This is great.
Yeah, business is going great. Real quick, Jamie Kent, Chief Strategy Officer. I came to Overfuel with about 20 years of experience in automotive software and digital marketing, and kind of back to the early days of Google pay-per-click advertising was a new thing when I got started and everything. So I've kind of been all over the map a little bit in the automotive software side of things. Most recently, I was running one of the largest OEM certified digital programs. So I got to kind of experience.
Which one? Can you say?
I was running Toyota.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's great.
And so it was one of the largest programs, had about 80 or so certified providers across web, search, trade-in tools, you name it, service schedulers. And so,
all right, so
for me,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, when it came time for me to get back onto the vendor or partner side of things, I was really looking for the most innovative, kind of disruptive technology that I could find. And I felt like the website space was kind of ripe for a new player to come along and really modernize the space. And that's what led me to Alex and the Overfuel team. So couldn't be happier to be with that team.
All right. So what do you say to the dealer that says, look, I've got a website. We slap the template on. It's factory approved, right? So I get my factory money. That's all I need to be thinking about. What's wrong with that thought process?
I mean, first and foremost, they're leaving money on the table, right? Like, we've ran data studies in back-to-back years that show 99% of automotive websites specifically are failing basic performance standards. And from an analytics standpoint, when we look at it, that is the difference of 20 to 30% in traffic or leads virtually overnight, right? So we see it shift in either direction depending on if they're passing or failing. But yeah, I mean, I think the important thing to recognize here is that 99% of them are failing, and they're paying the slow tax for it, right? Like, organic traffic, paid ads, cost per click. I mean, everything just goes through the roof when, performance isn't a priority.
All right. So if I'm a dealer and what are the top 3 things that most of them fail at, the websites that are failing, and how can I check for that on my own website today?
So anybody can run their website through, page speed or GT metrics, and it tends to tell a pretty clear story. The first and most obvious is that, dealerships change marketing agencies, right? New agencies come in, put in their own tags, and before you know it, you've got this gremlin of a website with 20 Google tags on it. And for every Google tag, you're talking, a tenth to a quarter of a second of load time. So that's number one. And then
And not to go back, but what's the website you go to check that? If I'm a dealer sitting here watching the show right now, I can go to that site.
Just look up page speed.
Okay.
Page speed.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the next issue you see typically?
I would say that the next issue, a lot of times we encounter, obviously it's the platform itself and what is being done on the platform, and can't go too far into the weeds with the technology behind it, but how components are loaded and how the site is designed to really ensure that there's not the layout shift and all the different things that happen to the consumer experience that slows the sites down or makes it kind of bounce around. So that's definitely another thing that comes up a lot, is just understanding, how does your platform perform when it comes to that perspective.
Okay.
And then the last piece, and this gets brought up a lot, are all the third-party tools. We live in a space where, at some point the website platform almost became thought of as like a commodity that is just there to start plugging in all the other things that you want to plug into it. Yeah. And the challenge that arises there is, if those third-party plugins that you're wanting to use on the site, chat tool, a pop-up for a coupon, a trade-in, whatever, if those are creating disruptions, that'll also have your site fail core web vitals. And so that's another big area to work on. And what we've done is we actually have gone through and started working with third-party tools and started almost like a green, yellow, red of this. We know this tool passes it. We consult and advise with our dealers. You're looking to add a chat tool. Well, here are the chat tools that work with us the best and that are going to help you pass. Here are the ones that are maybe more of a challenge. And one of the cool things that Alex has done is he's actually gone to had our engineers go to engineers within those third-party tools and say, hey, you're causing us to fail these core web vitals. If you make these changes for us, we think it'll start passing. And the great thing about that is that, we'll hear from these third-party tools that nobody's ever even asked us to do this before. And they get kind of excited because they're now unlocking something that will help them in the future as well.
So it's interesting. We've been talking about on this show a lot how, like, dealers that ask companies to work better together win ultimately. And those companies that want to stay in their own silo don't. That's a great example of it, right? How's the reception been as you've reached out to these connectors or these other companies that work with dealership websites? Have you had any that have said, hey, I don't want to participate in this process, I'm not interested, and then others that have greeted it with open arms? And what's advice you give to dealers in selecting companies that work better together to produce a better result for the customer?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I think we have to go back to what is the incentive, right? Obviously, the dealership's incentive is to sell more cars. When it comes to third-party plugins, their incentive is to capture a lead at all costs, right? They're trying to prove their value by being as disruptive as possible to the consumer on the website. So, the advice that we often give is, less is often more. But if you have to have the chat tool and you have to have all these things, just show the chat icon, right? Consumers are smart. If they want to chat, they know where to find the icon. And when you look at the heat map analytics on the vehicle pages, the close button on a live chat is the #1 most clicked element. So the consumers are telling us, and it's like we're not listening, So I would just say minimalism, like just install the chat. You don't need all the fancy greetings, pop-ups, and there's all kinds of accessibility issues around those things too. Just keep it simple. Like, we just have to keep it simple.
Yeah. And Sam, one of the things that you mentioned was like the companies that work together. Internally with us, we talk a lot about partnership. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, that entire digital ecosystem that the dealer is kind of cobbling together, it's really about serving the dealer and the partnership that's involved there. So that's something we focus on a lot. And we look for those partners that are open to that. So that's, if I'm a dealer, that's what I would be pursuing as well. It's like, where can I find the best partners? If you're not open to being a good partner with my website provider or my digital retailing tool or my agency, then that's where the problems are going to start to arise. So that's the path to pursue would be partnership.
Yeah. And it is interesting as you talk about what's everybody's self-interest. Some it's to collect leads, some it's to provide that experience on the site. For everyone, it should be helping the dealer to best deliver that experience and sell that customer, right? And so maybe it's a little bit of a paradigm shift. The website is such an important part. It is the first showroom that the customer hits. And it's your #1 sales rep. Is there, aside from checking those things that you just talked about, are there any other tips when you're thinking about your website you should be paying attention to on a day-to-day basis. And I guess the other question too is how much, you have these OEM certifications for certain website providers. So you can do some sites, you can't do others. Do those certifications help or hurt a dealer in trying to put their best foot forward on website development?
So I'll jump in here. That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. The reality is that those programs do provide a tremendous amount of benefits. And a lot of times, if you're looking just at the front end, you don't necessarily see the benefits that are happening on the back end with all of the different data feeds for in-transit vehicles or incentives or all of the things that the OEM is focused on to ensure that the dealer has the most up-to-date data and content, that the consumer is getting the most consistent experience across the board. So there's a lot of good that comes out of those programs. The challenge that does arise is that when a company like Overfuel that I believe exceeds those standards for an OEM program and can really be a great partner not only for the dealers but a partner for the OEMs as well. The focus there for the OEM program, it's how do you get that attention? How do you get on the radar to be able to pilot? How do you get an OEM to say, hey, we don't really need any more website providers? How do you get them to kind of change that thinking beyond this category is already solved for? It's already settled science, right? It's not settled. There are up and coming providers that are disrupting. And how do you get the OEM to say, yeah, we need to test and pilot and really continue to evolve instead of just saying, yep, these are our 5 or 6 certified providers and we're just done.
Yeah, and I think that I think so. How do you do that? How do you get the OEMs to think more broadly about it? And you say 5 to 6. Really, in a lot of ways, you might look at it and say there's 2, right, or 2 or 3, and everybody does kind of copy paste, and ultimately the consumer fails. I'll give you one area that we think a lot about. So generative AI and being able to search a page and engage and interact with a page on generative AI. Talk to us a little bit about what your thought is on the value and importance of that, and how maybe some websites today are failing in that generative AI search, providing that experience.
So I haven't seen a whole lot on the search side. I often think that search is one of the most overlooked features on a website. And our data shows that the free-form search box accounts for about 25% of clicks when somebody comes to the website. So I feel like the search experience is heavily underinvested in right now, and it's an area that we're really focused on. Whether it's like fuzzy matching, detecting typos, letting people search for cars with specific features like lane change assist or CarPlay. Like nobody's really made a whole lot of advancement there. I think a lot of the AI focus has been around obviously chat and scheduling and things like that, but we haven't really seen it make its way into the website experience yet. And so that's an area that we're pretty excited about.
What I actually saw a news article that talks about how quickly Google search. What's Google's tool called?
Gemini.
I forget what it's called. Gemini. How quickly it's surpassing even ChatGPT. And we've talked a lot about how you put in, hey, find me a good car for me. It uses the generative AI to match everything it knows about you to find the right match for an auto dealer. That's going to be important coming up, right? Creating a website that best matches to the consumer based on the kind of dealership that you are. And are, maybe other site providers aren't quite catching on to that. So, all right, last question up. What's the single highest ROI modernization move that dealers can make heading into 25, 26 as it comes to their website? What would you say?
Oh man. Well, dealers obviously spend, tens of thousands a month on whether it's people or advertising. And I fundamentally think that the digital foundation is the weakest link, right? So the slow, outdated websites, that 99% failure rate, like that's a silent lead killer, right? And so fortunately, this conversation has really picked up steam and a lot of people are more aware of it. And so I think going into next year, again, we got to get back to keeping it simple, doing more with less. And really assessing, if the website is a good experience or not. And I think dealers need to start by going to their own website and saying, would I use this to shop, right? Because the odds are the answer is no. And And so, to your point, it's a bit of a paradigm shift, but we're not the only ones talking about it anymore, right? Shift Digital in their Pulse report said that for every $100 spent on driving traffic to the website, $30 of that is paying for poor performance. So I think we're going to see a shift towards speed and performance, because ultimately that's what the modern car shoppers are looking for now.
Yeah. So let's pretend I want to do this one last question because it's a good one. Let's pretend both of you were dropped into a store as an internet director. Your entire task is to optimize that website, traditional dealership, wherever. What are 3 changes you'd make today? You already said, you'd simplify, right? You'd get rid of some of the, and that's fascinating because I see a lot of these like financing tools by different lenders and whatnot. Some dealers have, 3 versions of ICO and whatnot. The website messiness just can be there. But what are the first 3 big changes you'd make as an internet director walking into a store today?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, I'd go through an audit of every single tool and everything I'm paying for, right?
Yeah.
And whether it's how much am I spending on marketing and where is that driving that traffic to? What is the experience like? And try to get a visualization of what's everything that's happening. Because to Alex's point earlier, every single tool, website, digital retailing, whatever, they're all trying to just go in and justify their existence. And as an internet director, you've got to take a step back and look at the net effect of all of those things. So if a trade-in tool gets you X number of leads, but if you didn't have that trade-in tool, you'd still get the same number of leads. They would just fill out the trade-in form on the website or something along those lines. Then your net effect is not, you're not gaining anything. So you've really got to understand the net impact across the board instead of just looking at individual tools and say, well, I get 40 leads over here and 50 leads over there. What's the net effect of having all those tools on your site?
Yeah. Interesting. That's fun. Well, definitely a big lift for anybody looking at their websites. Alex Griffis, CEO of Overfuel, and Jamie Kent, Chief Strategy Officer of Overfuel. Appreciate you being on the show, sharing your perspectives on upping your game on your dealership website. Thanks for being on.
Appreciate it.
Thanks guys.
So much.
It's interesting, like the website is the new brick and mortar, right? And it's been for a long time, but their point is valid. Like a lot of people haven't evolved beyond just thinking about the website as a template you slap down and just build on. It's a heck of a lot more.
I'm banging the search bar drum for like over a decade. The search bars on dealer websites are not good. I mean, they're nothing like what customers are used to, going on Google or just typing in whatever you want and then getting the results and being able to, sift through them. The search bars on dealer sites are not good. And with AI now, there's no reason for them they shouldn't go from bad to okay. They should go from bad to amazing.
Elite, as Zach Terrell says.
Elite,
Elite, as we heard.
Yeah.
So great comments online. Igor says, Paul Salzman, most OEMs are comfortable with their own whatever. Their only concern is to shove allocations down the dealers' throats. Skin, he says, comfortable in their own skin. Yeah, Yoga Car says it's a zero-sum game. Paul says OEMs of all people should understand technology evolves. Forcing these sites, site providers is really dumb. OEMs should provide APIs and design frameworks for consistent experiences.
We preach the free market and competition evolving all of these things along. Yeah, there's no reason to close that off to other players.
Yeah, but I love what they said because they're right. You've got to look what everybody's self-interest is as they come to that game. And so Yossi posted, CDG, car dealership guy, he posted something recently, and he said he thinks a majority of tech vendors are going to disappear over the next few years. I don't have it in front of me, but
I believe it.
And I actually think that could be true because there's so many different fragmented systems trying to play in the same area. And to the point of Overfuel, like everybody has their own separate self-interest. And what we need to do is we need to have everybody working together in the interest of the customer ultimately, but to the dealer first and foremost. And we're just not there yet. There's so many fragmented systems. All right, let's keep it going. Manny Gonzalez, Fixed Operations Director at Ramsey Mazda. Welcome to the show, Manny.
Hello. Thank you for having me on today.
Hey, Manny. Thanks for coming on. I know you're a Fixed Operations Manager at Ramsey Mazda. We're going to ask you the signature question. How's biz? And as you answer that, tell us a little bit about what you do and quantify, what you guys are doing there.
Yes, business is good, especially on the fixed op side. What I do is I'm the fixed operations manager for Ramsey Mazda in Urbandale, Iowa. It is part of the Lithia Automotive Group, pretty large group here. And my specialty is on the service department. I'm currently working out of the Mazda office.
Gotcha. Now, I know in your intake form, you had said your biggest move was intentional people development. Like, what does that actually look like on the day-to-day in your service department?
So one thing that a lot of people or a lot of stores have is procedures, processes. So there's always procedures and processes. The biggest thing is developing people to follow the processes. So intentionally just working to hire the right people or retain, employees, and just figure out what they want to do. If they want to grow, if they want to get to a different role within the dealership, just being intentional on getting everybody to where their full potential or where they want to end up at. So focus a lot on that.
Sam and I love that word intentional. I'm sure a lot of our listeners do. I mean, it's the only way to be successful in this day and age. But walk us through that. You're investing heavily in coaching advisors and techs. What's that look like on a day-to-day specifically? What are you doing with your team to be intentional?
Yeah, so that's one thing I spend most of my day. For example, if service advisors in the morning, we'll have like a huddle where we will pull up like surveys from customers, and we work through each of those. And a lot of times it's just going through good surveys. It's like, nice job on this. These are little things we can do for a better customer experience. So we do that in the mornings, and then once for service advisors, because they touch so many customers, we do that once a week, each individual. So a lot of times stores can't have an advisor step away because they're busy. So a lot of times that doesn't happen, and I do focus to try to get them away and just essentially see what they're feeling. Also see what they just kind of go over their performance, see what they want to do. Some of them want to do really well with customer surveys. Some want increase R per hour. They're just different things for each advisor.
So staying on that vein and having these one-on-ones with these customers, what are some of the things that you guys do really well, or that your team is doing really well?
So customer experience, we do really well. I have a good store where advisors, as soon as you pull in your vehicle in the service drive, they're already out there, greeting the customers. They do a lot of prep. One thing a lot of customers like is hearing their name, just knowing their name when they're coming in. That's been kind of a big thing. Just getting to know your customer, building the relationship. So they do a good job of greeting customers, getting them checked in, and just really prepping for that customer to come in.
What kind of technology are you using to ensure that happens? Or is it just a process that you guys have developed to make sure no one gets forgotten about?
It's been a lot of hard work. So we use currently a couple different systems. We're using MyKarma and CDK. MyKarma, we do a lot of communication, but we also use them to check in customer vehicles. So we got a tablet system, so we can go out into the drive and check in the customer, do the walk around, and then it integrates into CDK to create repair orders. So then they can go back to their desk and have that repair order. And so prepping ahead of time is we have like appointments, ledgers going out ahead of time so they can see who's coming in. I think a lot of our team members touch it, or parts advisors also see that, because another thing is they're looking ahead of time to make sure we have the parts in stock. Advisors are making sure that we have the loaner reserved ahead of time. So we all work together. It's just a lot of different steps. to make sure
Well,
everything's taken care of.
you mentioned loaners, and I know they're a pain point for a lot of stores. How have you tightened that process so it feels like a benefit to the customer and, not a chore?
So we've worked a lot. I actually got to be on a pilot program with TSD, XI, my Karma, to be able to come up with a really good system. Because a lot of times it's a lot of prep work to get loaners. I found that when customers are coming in and we're not prepped, it could take like half an hour to get a customer in a loaner car. So we came up with a process where we can send a text, email ahead of time so the customer can put all their information ahead of time. And so that's already set, and we're just having them sign and going over, just any restrictions or anything like that. But we have went as far as when someone schedules the day before, we'll send a reminder like, hey, fill this out. But then we go ahead and find the loaner, matching up to what they're driving. We'll even write, there's like a card inside with their name on it that says reserved and the customer name, and it's ready to go, cleaned up gas. And so when the customer comes in, they pull in, they see their name on the loaner, and they're just really excited. Just really good customer experience on that.
So I into the loaner piece, transitioning over to retention on vehicles over 2 years old. So we talked a lot about the importance as ownership extends out longer to retain those customers back to the dealership. I think you said you've got your retention for 2+ year old vehicles at 55%, which is elite, right? What practices have you put in place to get that retention increase to that point? That's stellar.
Yeah, there's two things I or my team has implemented on that. So the first thing is just kind of what we're talking about, that customer experience. So once they're here and they go through our check-in process, our communication, our service advisors having a good time and communicating well, that right there is what really does it for us. Second thing is I worked with, so before Mazda, I worked for Toyota, and one thing they had was Toyota Care, and there's Toyota Care Plus. So Mazda is kind of similar and have kind of same products. And I brought over selling the service contracts from the drive. So a lot of the older customers coming in, we were able to sign them up for like a 5-year, 5 oil change plan in the drive, less than it would if you paid for 5 oil changes, and saving a 40 to 50% up front.
Have you had success with service riders and others in the drive offering that? And what's your process on that? I've found that to be a process where, riders have so much on their plate already. It can be a tough thing for them to try to add on top of it all.
Yeah. At first, the vision was there, and everybody's just kind of not wanting to do that, but just kind of getting everybody together and showing what that can do. I got pretty successful presenting it and just having the numbers in front, just showing like, hey, this is saving your customer X amount of dollars. After a few, like, wow, this is actually working. And then we've been doing it for 3 years now. Year 2, they love it. It's like they're signing up a customer for 5 years.
And then last question up, and we've had such great content today. Your perspectives have been awesome. We talk a lot about these video inspections, video MPIs. I think you said you're at 87%, which is a pretty stellar rate. How'd you get there? Maybe in 30, 45 seconds.
Yep. So that's the view rate. One thing, we position our service advisors right in front of the waiting room. So we can kind of see we send the videos, and like we ask the customer, like, hey, please watch this.
Yeah.
The ones going out, they're not sitting. As soon as the customer checks in, we have kind of step-by-step, like, hey, you'll receive a text message from us, save your contact information, and then you'll receive a video and then an estimate from the customer or from us.
Manny Gonzalez, Fixed Operations Director, Manager at Ramsey Honda. Thank you so much for being on the show, sharing your perspectives, and very cool the different processes you have in place to better serve customer and dealer groups. So thanks for being on today.
Thanks, Manny.
Good show today. Good Fix Ops Friday.
Great
My
show.
gosh, it always goes so
by.
fast. It went fast today too. We'll get more info out about our up and coming. We hope to do this video karaoke video competition. Creating video in automotive is it's what's coming. And then I look forward to broadcasting live from Chase on Monday Anybody who knows Jay Leno, get it to him. We'd love to have him on either Monday or at some point in the future. So it'll be fun to report out on their new building and all the stuff that's going on there at Chase. So, Yuli, good show.
Love it. Great show.
All right.
Let's do it again on Monday.
Let's do it again Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching Daily Deal Live, where we break down the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. Don't forget, we're here live, as we said, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So if this is your world, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never, ever miss a beat. And we'll see you next episode, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.